I'm taking 70% of your millions, your dad's estate included. She said it like a toast, smiling, certain. Everyone watching. My name is Ethan Cole. I'm 33. I run a heavy equipment rental company based in Denver, the kind of outfit that delivers bulldozers to mountainsides at 4 a.m. and pulls loaders out of mud at midnight. My father, Richard, built the bones of it. I put on the muscle. 3 generations of calloused hands keep our machines moving. Today's story is about how a prenup I almost forgot saved my family's legacy when my wife tried to turn my grief into her retirement plan. Vanessa wore the navy dress she bought with my card, hair scraped into a severe bun, earrings like sharpened coins. Her lawyer stacked files with the choreography of a man who expected a big score. The gallery had friends of hers, smirks, whispering. They were here for a victory lap. I sat at the defense table and studied the wood grain. Years on job sites taught me to mark the little things. A warped board, a loose bolt, a hairline crack. Courtrooms crack, too. They do it in silence. The crack began months earlier, thin as a thread. Vanessa started asking numbers, not questions. How much was the Morrison Street warehouse worth exactly? Did the North Yard's expansion go through? What did Dad's portfolio look like after probate? She didn't ask how I slept after we buried him. She asked whether the title to the yard trucks had been transferred out of his estate. The night she laughed at a dinner party. I'm finally gonna get what I deserve. I told myself she meant a work promotion. She hadn't had a job in 18 months. Back when we met, 4 years ago at a contractors expo in Albuquerque, she was magnetic, marketing at a SaaS startup. Quick with a joke, quicker with praise. She said she loved the grit of a company where steel met dirt. I believed her. When Dad got sick, she sat with me in fluorescent waiting rooms, handed me bad coffee with steady hands, kissed my temple at the graveside and whispered, "We'll make him proud." After we married, 6 months in, she quit to support my focus. Support looked like shopping sprees and late dinners, where I arrived smelling like diesel, and she arrived smelling like money. When Colorado winter light slanted through my office window, I found her in my chair with the safe open, my father's estate binder splayed across the desk. She was on the phone, reading numbers. 3.7 in property and investments, she said. Company valuation north of 6. No, he won't fight. He never does. She hung up when she saw me, smiled too brightly, said she was organizing the documents. The combination to that safe was mine and Dad's. I never told her. Someone had. I didn't confront her then. I did what I do on a site when something feels wrong. I walked the perimeter. I looked for prints, receipts, timelines, policies, screenshots, logs. On the joint card, legal consultation services. 2 months back, $3,000. A downtown family firm answered when I called. Yes, Mrs. Cole had met with them. I sat in my truck and watched the sunset bruise the front range. Each color felt like a truth I didn't want. Dad's voice came back to me, dry and steady. Trust is earned, son. Protection is built. The protection was a prenuptial agreement I'd treated like a chore. He pushed for it when we got engaged. He said wealth creates gravity, and gravity pulls in debris. I hated the conversation. Vanessa called it unromantic. We hired separate counsel. We signed. I called my attorney, Nora Whitaker, the woman who drafted it. "Pull the file," I said. "I think I finally need it." 3 weeks later, Vanessa filed for divorce. Her petition demanded half of all marital assets, plus my inheritance, plus a slice of the company, plus support. The list of figures read like a shopping list with someone else's wallet. It didn't surprise me. Seeing it in black and white still punched. I came home to find her packing. Dresses, jewelry, every last bottle of perfume. The house smelled like a store. You got the papers, she said. I did. This doesn't have to be ugly, Ethan. Give me what I'm entitled to, and we both move on. Entitled. The word sat in my mouth like rust. We'll let the law decide what you're entitled to. She folded a sweater. 3 years of marriage, equitable distribution, significant appreciation during the marriage. My attorney says the math is simple. Is that what he told you when you paid him $3,000 2 months ago? Her hand stopped. Just stopped. I don't know what you're implying. I'm implying you've been planning this while sleeping in my bed. A beat of silence, then a tilt of her chin. Any smart woman explores her options. Any smart woman reads the prenup she signed. She laughed. Then she saw my face. What prenup? The one with your signature and your lawyer's initials on every page. Color drained. She left that night. Her lawyer requested copies of our agreement the next morning, which told me everything I needed to know about how thoroughly she'd read it the first time. Nora called with better news, wrapped in something uglier. She hired a private investigator, Nora said. Name's Clark Jensen, asset discovery specialist. Vanessa paid him $8,000 to map your holdings and your father's estate. I gripped the phone. Did he find anything we should worry about? That's the twist. His report corroborates you. Major assets acquired pre-marriage or via inheritance. He wrote it to help her maximize a settlement, and instead verified that the prenup shields nearly everything. I stared out at the yard. A driver was chaining down a machine, careful and methodical. So she paid $8,000 to write my defense. And there's more, Nora said. Her friend 2 houses down. Trevor Lane went through a nasty divorce 3 years ago. He referred Jensen, coached her to document a case for more than 50%, based on sacrifice and domestic support. We pulled messages. How'd you get the messages? She never desynced her iCloud from your shared desktop. 6 months of texts are in your backups. Logs, screenshots, timelines, receipts. Vanessa told her attorney, "Can we call the boutique spending household maintenance so it looks normal?" He replied that they'd frame luxury as lifestyle expectations. Vanessa told her friend, "He's always been too trusting. By the time this is over, I'll never have to work again." Vanessa told Trevor, "He'll settle. He hates conflict. I filed all of it. Dates, times, names, dollar amounts." Nora bound the exhibit list like a manual. We added the investigator's report as evidence. If you fling a boomerang with enough force, it still comes back to your hand. On the Friday before court, I drove to the river road that runs behind the yard and sat in the truck with the windows down. Denver Light was a clean blade on the water. I thought about Dad's hands on a breaker bar, the way he'd say, "Torque to spec, son. Anything else strips threads." He meant money. He meant people. He meant me. Monday came heavy and bright. The courtroom smelled like old paper and lemon oil. The judge, Honora Isabel Ramirez, took her seat with a calm that made noise shrink. Vanessa's side opened big. Sacrifice. Support. A woman who gave up her career, who nurtured a business in intangible ways that the law should now tangibly compensate. Her lawyer glanced back at me to gauge damage. He saw a man taking notes. He mistook quiet for empty. When he paused, Vanessa leaned toward the microphone. "I'm seeking 70% of the marital estate," she said, voice firm, "including his father's holdings. He didn't build that alone." The gallery murmured. Trevor sat last row, hands folded like a parishioner. Nora stood, walked with unhurried steps, and handed the clerk 2 folders. Defense offers Exhibit A and B. A is the Cole-Whitaker prenuptial agreement, executed 3 years prior to marriage, reviewed by independent counsel on both sides. B is the Jensen report commissioned by the plaintiff detailing the origin and status of the defendant's assets. The judge's eyebrows lifted at "commissioned by the plaintiff." She read. The room breathed. She turned a page. I watched the exact second she hit the paragraph that mattered. She looked up. "Mrs. Cole, did you sign this prenuptial agreement?" Vanessa's mouth worked. I was pressured. It was coercive. His father. "Were you represented by attorney Lila Montrose?" the judge asked, tapping the signature line. Vanessa blinked. I don't recall the specifics. Did attorney Montrose explain the effect of waiving claims to premarital and inherited property? I don't remember. You don't remember your own counsel explaining a multi-million-dollar contract? The judge turned to the investigator's binder. And this report, prepared by your investigator, confirms that the majority of these assets were acquired either pre-marriage or via inheritance, and are therefore outside equitable distribution under the terms of your agreement. Vanessa's lawyer rose. Your Honor, we challenge enforceability on grounds of unconscionability and lack of meaningful consent. Nora didn't even stand. Your Honor, Exhibit C. The clerk handed over a slim stack. Intake forms from Vanessa's prior consultations at 3 separate firms, dated across a year, plus credit card statements showing legal consultation services long before filing. Plaintiff had advice, time, capacity, and an investigator. What she lacked was appetite for the outcome. The judge read in silence. Then she spoke like a door clicking shut. Agreement is valid. Inherited and premarital assets remain the defendant's separate property. Marital assets acquired jointly are to be divided equitably, offset by debts incurred by the plaintiff without the defendant's consent. She paged through the spending summaries. Designer retail, luxury travel billed to a business account, non-essential expenditures. I am assigning those balances to the plaintiff. By my calculation, Mrs. Cole is due $15,000. Court so orders. The sound Vanessa made was small and human, her lawyer's shoulders deflated by inches. Trevor stared at the floor. The bailiff said, "All rise," and the judge left. The room emptied. Vanessa stood without looking at me. The navy fabric didn't look like armor anymore. It looked like weight. Outside, the morning felt sharper. I sat on a bench in sunlight that tasted like cold metal and let my heart slow. Nora walked out with a file tucked under her arm. "You all right?" she asked. "I will be." "This next part is your call," she said, tapping the file without handing it to me. Texts about hiding spending, coaching from counsel to reclassify purchases. That's bar complaint territory. We can forward, or we can let it lie. I thought about revenge, how it rots the hand that holds it, how my father never threw wrenches, even at bolts that wouldn't budge. He'd say, "Upgrade the tool, not the temper." "Let it lie," I said. "We got what we came for." We walked to the curb. She paused. "You know, you did one thing perfectly." "What's that?" "You kept records like a pro, receipts, timelines, policies, screenshots, logs. Juries and judges love clean lines. So do machines." I smiled. Dad would have liked that sentence. On the drive back to the yard, the city looked new. Not shiny or truer. The shop crew waved when I pulled in. Grease smell, compressor hiss, a radio low and tinny. Home in steel and motion. I went into the office that afternoon and put a framed photo of Dad on the cabinet across from my chair. His face had that look it always had around payday. A math grin. He'd be pleased that the numbers lined up, that torque-matched spec. Weeks passed. Word traveled fast in neighborhoods that care about money. Vanessa tried to appeal. The appellate court laughed without laughing. Her 20-something friends stopped texting. Trevor put his house on the market and moved to another part of the state. the way people do when they don't want to face the people who saw them clearly. I didn't gloat. I went to work. I used a slice of my protected inheritance to fund a free evening clinic down at the small business incubator. Know your contracts, where bar-certified volunteers sit with contractors and salon owners and food truck couples and walk them through the unromantic paperwork that keeps romance from killing livelihoods. We don't give legal advice. We give vocabulary and courage. People come in scared. They leave with a checklist. Sometimes that's enough. And because stories must end, even when consequences don't, here's how ours settled. Vanessa filed bankruptcy within 6 months. Employers Googled. Friends remembered. The navy dress stopped showing up in places she liked to be seen. I stopped checking her social media. I stopped measuring my days against her choices. The yard had a busy spring. The mountain jobs paid. The new dispatcher, a single mom named Jordan with the firmest calendar in Colorado, brought order to chaos and 2 kinds of donuts on Fridays. The crew started calling the yard Coal Co. I didn't correct them. The Holko Hodon are the men and women whose hands keep my name honest. One evening I locked the gate after sundown, and the sky went that impossible blue that only lasts 80 heartbeats. I stood with my hands on the chain link and thought about what Dad said when he slid the prenup across the table back then. He didn't say, "Protect the money." He said, "Protect the work." People think a prenup is a lack of trust. They're wrong. It's a tool that says, what you built before love is not required to pay for love, and what you build during love should be chosen together. If someone wants you for your doors, they'll try to pry them open. If someone wants you for your life, they'll bring keys and copies. If you're still here, take a breath with me. Mid-roll quick ask. If stories like this help you think sharper about money and loyalty, tap subscribe and drop a like. It helps more people find these lessons. I won't pretend there wasn't a moment in that courtroom when I wanted to shout, to list the nights I slept in hospital chairs, and the mornings I opened the shop in the dark, and the calluses I carry like rings. Quiet won. Quiet always does, eventually. The last thing Vanessa said to me in the hallway outside was soft enough that only the air heard it. "You were never supposed to fight." I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The judge had already said it for me, with a signature that weighed more than any sentence she could fling. This is not legal advice. It's a field report from someone who almost learned the hard way and didn't. Build with both hands. Love with both eyes open. Keep your receipts.